All right. So during this lockdown, it's April 5th, 2020, and we're in a lockdown. And going to the grocery store is really dangerous. So I went up into the attic and I got this old bread machine that was up in the attic for 20 years. All right. So the bread machine is an oSTER. It's a model 1158. I went online to the oSTER website and got the manual because the manual for this was missing. So I went online, got the manual so I can figure out how to use this bread machine. Alright, so we measured out 2 cups of just regular flour. During this pandemic and lockdown, we really can't be choosy on we can't go out and get bread. Okay, so I had the 2 cups of flour, and I sprinkled some ground cinnamon on top of the 2 cups of flour. Then I added 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now this is a small loaf, and the bread machine is going to be set to sweet. Alright, so we got all our ingredients out. We're going to let them warm up because we can't really waste the yeast that we have. So hopefully the yeast being at room temperature will rise the bread better. So I measured out a tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to put that aside. Okay, so I coated the bread machine baking pan with butter, and I think that's so it doesn't stick. I also coated the kneading blade at the bottom so that doesn't stick. The bread doesn't stick when it comes out, so it comes out easily. So this is the 1950s original kitchen table that was recovered in 1950s Decca fabric vinylware. And this is a placemat from Eggs and Things Hawaii, which we cannot get to today because there are no flights during this pandemic lockdown. So Julia's going to chop 1/3 cup of Hawaiian macadamia nuts for our sweet bread. Chops the macadamia nuts, and we need what is it, 1/3 cup? So Julia measures out 1/3 of a cup of chopped macadamia nuts. This is for the mix-in part, which we'll put in after the process has been running in the bread machine, I think about 15 minutes, and then the machine beeps 3 times, and then we'll add our mix-in. Here's the chopped macadamia nuts, and then I sprinkled some cinnamon on top. This is for the mix-in part of our bread machine. I added a few raisins to the mix-in part, just to give it a little more extra flavor. Alright, Julia prepares 1 egg white. Alright, Julia prepares a banana, and she's going to mash 1/3 of a cup. Julia mashes the banana, and we need 1/3 of a cup. Alright, 1/3 of a cup. Okay, so I'm going to put the 1/2 cup of water into the bread machine baking, and then I'm going to put the next I'm going to put the butter in. So put the butter in there. Okay, all right. Okay. Next I'm going to put the egg whites in. So the egg whites go in. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to put the flour and the sugar in. The flour and the sugar. And I'm not Susie Homemaker. So, just to let you know, I am not Susie Homemaker. Okay? Alright. Okay, so we got our flour is in, and I made a little indentation for the yeast. Next, we're going to put our salt in. Okay, so I put the salt and a little indentation in the flour, and then I made another indentation separate to keep the salt separated from the yeast. Alright, so I got the ingredients in. I put the bread machine in, All the ingredients are in except the mixing section. That's going to go in after the bread machine beeps. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to set it to, it's going to be the small loaf, the sweet bread setting. The crust is going to be light, and we're going to set it to rapid yeast. That's what it has on this oSTER 5811 machine. And we're going to set it to small because it's a small loaf that we put in. After it beeps, after 15 minutes supposedly, we're going to mix. We're going to put in our macadamia nuts and our raisins. Okay? All right. So the bread machine, which hasn't been used in about 20 years, it started. I have it set at sweet. I have the crust at light, and I have the loaf set at small. So this thing hasn't been used in 20 years, and it sounds like it's kneading the bread. It's going boom, boom, boom. Okay, our bread small loaf is done with cinnamon and bananas. It's right now in the cooling mode. It took 2 hours and 39 minutes to bake. Alright, so that's what the bread looks like. It's done. It's just cooling off now. I'm going to take it out, see what it tastes like. So here's the bread. It looks like it's burnt on some of the sides, but we'll see. It is done though, and we'll see what it tastes like. But it looks like it took 2 hours and 40 minutes. Alright, now slice a piece of the bread. Alright. It's tasty. It is very tasty. It's got a little dryness to it, and I can taste a hint of the bananas, but not much hint of the cinnamon. But it is not too bad of a piece of bread. It's good. Very good banana bread. Okay? Alright.